Right, so in a previous video, Outdoor Eric had said what would be a good size figure 4 for birds like pheasants. Now the first thing I'll say is, out of my first choice for trying to catch a bird, I wouldn't use a figure 4 personally. Now for things like squirrels and rabbits and kind of mammals, I'd probably go for a figure 4, but not really for birds. And that's probably why in the old days they used to use things like the Arapuca bird trap and the Arapuca trigger for birds and different triggers for other animals. Because if you're going to set up a figure 4 for a bird, in my opinion, you've got to do it so the bird stands on the trigger stick rather than tries to peck at it, because the pecking may not be strong enough to do it. Whereas a squirrel or a rabbit or a mammal might try and grab hold of tied on bait and try and pull it off, and then they'll pull the stick off. Whereas the birds ain't going to peck, but more often than not, if you've got a big long stick, a bird will probably stand on it. So I've designed this one so it's high enough, for, just to say a pheasant, high enough for a pheasant to get under, and a long trigger stick so it can stand on it or knock it. Now this one's been slightly different. I will show you all the details of this, but it works better going directly down rather than other type of figure 4s. It won't work so well if they're pushed down, whereas this one works better if it's pushed down, so stood on by an animal. Now try and ignore the fact that this is just a cardboard box. It's all I had, and I'm indoors, so what we'll have to use. But if you was going to use a cage or whatever for this, I reckon about this long is alright. Maybe it might be a little bit longer, but you definitely want it a lot wider. Maybe double, maybe triple the width. So a lot wider than this, so he's right under in there when it goes off. I hope that makes sense. If you've got any questions, then just ask. I'll show you the details of this in a second. But like I said, it goes off better if it's stood on like that. It will go off sideways, but it will go off perfect if it goes straight down. And I've tried to shave this flat, so you could place bait on top of it, hoping that they may peck it. The only thing I would say is with one like this great big long trigger stick, it either needs to be light, that's why it's been shaved a lot, or you need a lot more weight pushing down to hold it in place. It just wants to drop all the time, so you have to shave it quite thin and shave quite a lot. These was all just completely round sticks when I started. I'll show you the detail on them. Right, so as you saw, another thing I forgot to mention was, you notice on that one that the bait stick is quite low to the ground, and that's because it's designed for a bird, so hoping that the bird will stand on it. But it's got to be high enough so that when it goes down, what you don't want is it going down, hitting the floor like that, and then won't let the top bit flip, if you know what I mean. It's got to be just right so it will go down and come right out. So I'll show you the upright one. So first of all, this is your notch, what your bait stick sits in like that. And it's only locked in by this one, by this part, by it being pulled here, keeps it in. So you could do that as a square knot if you wanted to, as long as this top bit is flat and it's kind of squared off at the sides. Now I've took quite a bit off here and here just to kind of make it more sensitive. You could keep going to make it even more sensitive, just like the less wood there is, the less it seems to cling together, if you know what I mean. And then this part has just been cut so it'll lay like that. you kind of have to do it as you go along. I will give dimensions to these as well in a minute. And then your upright, your slanting stick, same, it's just got a usual kind of cut there. And then this has just been trimmed. You could trim that any way you like, as long as it fits into there. And the trigger stick, square kind of notch there. Important to have it flat at the top and each side. So flat here, here and here. The bottom doesn't really matter. This notch cut out. Now it doesn't have to look exactly the same as this, but I've had to shave it thin. So like I said, this was exactly the same size as that. I had to shave it thin so it wasn't too heavy and just kept falling. Like I said, you could keep it round if it was holding, but I did it flat on top, and I was even going to see if I could scoop some bits out, so, you know, with like a crook knife, so you could lay seeds or whatever in there. But I don't think you need to go to that much effort, but you could still lay seeds along a flat surface like that. To be honest, I think this trap would be better if the animal stood on it, because then once it stands on it, you know it's right the way in there. So you're upright like that, and then that one just lays like that. See, that cut doesn't even necessarily matter as long as this one's right. You could cut that all the way out there and just have it, you could, you know, this part here you could just leave out possibly if you wanted to. Now, you could make the trigger stick go even further right the way to the end of the cage, but what you'll need to do is you'll need to make this part, so you'll have to make the slanting stick and the upright first, then make your cage, hold it up like this, hold your stick in and measure it so you know it's going right to the back, and then cut your notches. But I'd already cut this before I knew what I was going to use. But you can see it doesn't work so well going sidewards. It will, but it works perfect going down, because there's hardly anything holding it going downwards. The only other thing I've done is on the end of the slanting stick I've kind of cut a bit of a notch, but that was because it's been used as a demo with a cardboard box, which you probably wouldn't need to do that, but that's an option if you wanted to. You can kind of just about see it there. Not really a notch, but you know what I mean. So hopefully this makes sense. But it just goes to show there's loads of weird variants of figure fours. Now, this isn't like your conventional figure four, but it is in a way. And obviously you can make it if you think parts are sticking too much or anything. For example, if you thought it's sticking too much here, then shave off some more of the sides, so there's less wood there, so it's just, you know, just enough to hold it, rather than you know, really clinging together. Right, I'll get a tape measure and I'll tell you how big this is. Right, I'll tell you the exact dimensions, but you may not need them. All you'd really need to know is the lengths really, and then you can just work it out yourself. But I will tell you it all. So the length of the upright one is 9 inches, and these two are near enough exactly the same. So the length of the slanting stick is 18 inches, and the length of the trigger stick is 18.5. But you can do them the same, unless you wanted this one, the trigger stick, to go right the way to the back of the trap. So to this cut, which fits into the upright, from the shortest end, so this end, so this is the end that goes towards, you know, on top of the cage will sit on that. So this end, that notch is cut 7 inches. This is kind of done up to 2 inches. This cut is sloping to about 3 inches. So this one will be the same, about 2.5, 3 inches. I've just shaved that bit off down to about 1 inch. So your notch here from the bottom up is 3 inches. And these kind of cuts are about 4.5 inches. Oh, going down, and that's down to about 1/2 inch there. And these are done down to about 1/2 inch too, but it depends how thick your wood is, you see. And this is done I'll have to tell you that in mil. That's about 5mm there on the end. And these two cuts on here from the back end, it's about 1/2 inch to there, about 1.5 to here, and then going down at an angle. That makes sense. Here about 3 inches, and then about 1 inch cut, and then that overall is 4 inches there. So that's the dimensions for it. But you know, you could do it however you like. The most important thing is, I think, get it as low as you can to the animals, because it's for birds, so the bird stands on it. And make sure your cage is nice and wide. You don't want a little thin cage. It's got to be wide enough so that when it stands on that, it's right inside it as well. So I can tell you like the rough dimensions of what the cage could have been. So, well, the bottom base of the cage is all I can tell you, you know, right? So if you work from that and made a pyramid, so about 2 foot by, I'd probably say 2 foot by 2 foot, or 2 foot by, I think 2 foot by 2 foot would be a minimum, I reckon. Would probably do it. So do a square base, 2 foot by 2 foot, then a pyramid of sticks or chicken wire, or well, whatever you got. Right, so I hope that helps someone. That's my idea for a figure 4 for a bird like a pheasant or something similar. But like I said, if it was up to me, I would probably use the Arapuca bird trap trigger or something similar, because they go off so easy, unbelievably easy, and they'll hold a good weight, and they're kind of the 2 of them, so the bird kind of has to stand on it to get to the bait. Oh, and that's another thing. Put bait around this, what I would do, on it. So hoping if he'd peck it down, or if not, at the very least, put it there, and always right at the back of the trap, of the cage. So hopefully he'll come along, stand on it, and then get him. Birds like pigeons and that will automatically just seem to stand on like a little perch like that. They always seem to do it all the time. Right, anyway, hope that helped someone. Cheers for watching. I'll see you later.